Hello, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us again for this webinar. We have some really neat ideas, some unique, some different. We're going to be starting off with just a small Hanukkah decor, an idea, of course, DIY. We always want to be thinking of how to upcycle certain items. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with my part, and it so happens to be Hanukkah. Again, happy Hanukkah to anybody out there who celebrates it. I myself don't celebrate it, but I do have family members that are of Jewish descent, and they do celebrate it. So, and like I said, it started yesterday, and it started at sundown, and it will be through the 18th of this year. So, just to give you a brief just a small history of what Hanukkah is and how it came about. Hanukkah is pretty much a Jewish holiday, and this celebrates the victory of the Maccabees, and they, defeated the Syrian army. And the menorah is Menorah is Hebrew for candle holder. This is an important Jewish symbol. And you'll see the menorah in two different ways. You'll see the 7-branch menorah, and you'll see the 9-branch menorah. So the difference is the 7-lamp menorah, actually it represents the 7 branches of human knowledge. So all the 6 of them will be 3 on each side and 1 in the center, which is the shamash. And excuse me if I am not pronouncing that correctly. I don't speak Hebrew, but I try my best. And then you have the 7. The 7 ones are actually you'll see in every Jewish home, and the 9 branch menorahs are actually used during Hanukkah. So last night, with the middle candle, the shamash candle, the first candle was added and lit, and they are actually placed from right to left, and they're lit from left to right. So there's just a little history there on the menorah. All right, so I created this very easy to do menorah. Like, not everybody has a menorah readily available at home. Or maybe you want to gift something to a friend, to a Jewish friend, just to let them know that you're also celebrating with them and honoring their culture. So some of the materials that I did use, since we are at the library, a lot of the books, they get outdated and they get tossed out. So I took one of those unwanted books. I took some acrylic paints, some brushes, and of course your drawing pencil. So what I did here, it's very simple, straightforward. I drew out the menorah of however I wished for it to look. I painted the background of it, and then I filled it in. And so I'm going to show you the finished version of it. Let me see. Now let me show you this menorah here. So see, you could go ahead and paint this. It's very easy to paint, obviously. I did these with this is the 9-branch one. I wanted to show that. I did a little bit of decor in the bottom, and of course added the Star of David, right? And now, so it's not just this one. I actually got another idea on how to create another menorah that I'm gonna do right now. I started it off because due to time, I can't necessarily do it from start to finish. So I already got, these are CD cases. These are old CD cases that they were getting rid of. So I thought, what a perfect way to actually make like a menorah. But I did a 7-branch one. The reason why is because I accidentally only bought 8 candles. So I only have enough for that. I couldn't make the 9th one. So I painted the background, and now with some acrylic paint, I'm going to be, I actually marked I don't know if you could see it. I marked lightly here on how I'm gonna be outlining the menorah. So this one's gonna be very simple. So let me go ahead and start with that. Go ahead and just add a little bit of white. I'm gonna make the menorah white because my candles are white and silver. So I'm gonna start from the very bottom. I'm just gonna paint that. And guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just remember that it doesn't have to be perfect. The most important thing is that you get to do something and celebrate. But please let us know in the chat what do you celebrate? Do you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, or any other holiday? And let me go ahead, that's one. So I'm doing this right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start connecting that, right? So I'm gonna need a little bit more paint. Maybe that wasn't a little bit, a lot more. Okay, so this one is going to be from here. I want to make sure that I'm not messing that up. And I'm sorry you can't see it from the top, but I'm going to show you in a bit what I am doing here. And so, anybody chatting in the chat? Hector, Nicole, Jaden?
Yep, okay. We've got some Christmas celebrators.
Uh-huh.
That's all anybody's mentioned so far, though.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, any big plans for Christmas? Anybody? So here I did this little menorah here, and now I kind of franked myself with this thing with the glue gun over here. Okay, so now I'm gonna, obviously you want to let that dry well, but for the purposes of this webinar right now, I can't necessarily do that. So I grabbed these two ribbons. This is a blue ribbon and a silver ribbon. And obviously these two colors, they represent the flag. So these are the most popular colors when it comes to Judaism and Hanukkah. So they're just beautiful colors. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make this bow. See, the bad thing about not letting it dry is that now your paint is all over the bows, the ribbon, right? That's okay. So now I'm gonna make another bow. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough to get it to look a little cute. Okay. So now I'm gonna melt the candles. I'm gonna just melt them lightly here, not just the tip of them. Let's go ahead and place it here. We'll go ahead and do the other one as well. So even though you do not celebrate Hanukkah, that's okay. We have a large community of Jewish people that stay, especially like in the Miami Beach area. So you're definitely gonna see a lot of people and there, you know, and it's good to include everyone, right? Oops, so this is kind of having a hard time melting here. So I'm actually using the tip of the glue gun and just you know, using it to melt the tip of it. And then just pressing and holding until it dries. I'm gonna flip it around. And I need to do the same for this one. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. We really appreciate all of you coming in and joining us. And please do not forget to sign up for next week's webinar. Next week's webinar is going to be on some holiday gift ideas. I'm excited about that, and I'm sure some of you are as well. Okay, so now I finally finished it, and now I just need the most important candle. Ta-da! And just letting that dry. And there you go. You have your very own homemade menorah out of CD cases. Who knew? Right? Awesome. So now with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, who is going to be taking over Christmas. Right, Nicole?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Dinah. So today I wanted to show you really quick. I made this tree out of a book, and it is the same technique that I used to make a pumpkin out of a book for our fall decor webinar. So if you want to know how to make this one, you can head over to our YouTube channel, and it's the same technique I used for the fall decor one. So go check that out. I just thought it turned out so fun, but we already did that. So I'm going to show you something else today. Today, we are going to be making ornaments, and they look kind of like this grumpy little girl, but they're photograph ornaments, and everybody loves a photo ornament, like especially of little kids. I don't know why, they're so much fun, but everybody loves them. So I'm going to be showing you how to make that. So I'm actually just using stock photo. This is an ad from a magazine, just because we didn't want to infringe on anybody's personal rights. So I'm going to tilt this down and show you what I'm doing. So I have this photo, and I want to put a photo on both sides. You could do paper, you could just draw something or paint something, like make it really personal. But for this, we're just getting photographs. So I want to do one circle. These two are going to be on one side, and then these two people are going to be on the other side. So I'm going to make sure that I have them. And the thing about these, by the way, these are just little wooden shapes. These little wooden shapes are found all over the place. I've seen them at craft stores. I've seen them at big, like the Walmarts or the Targets or wherever. I've seen them there. I've even seen them in grocery stores. Sometimes they have a crafting aisle in a grocery store, and I've seen them there. They're really inexpensive. They come in all shapes and sizes. I've got a bunch right here. And they usually come in a pack, and they're very versatile, and you can use them for just about anything. So I'm using a wooden shape. You can use literally anything. You could cut out a piece of cardboard and do this. But because they're completely opaque, you cannot see through it, it's hard to tell if you've got your picture placed just right. The one thing that I did, especially when I was doing a star shape, was I made a template. And this template is just made out of clear plastic. So I traced my star onto this clear plastic, and it actually came from this was sent home with my kids for what is it called, for pictures, like school photos, and I just used the clear plastic that was in there, and I cut it into the star shape. And then whenever I want to find the perfect placement for my photo, I place that onto there, and I can tell exactly what it's going to look like whenever I cut it out. But this star is way too small for this picture, so we're using this big circle. And the circle is a little easier to get the placement, because there's a lot more room for error. So I'm going to place that here, make sure I don't get that guy's face, move over a little, and I'm going to move it over just a little bit more. About there. I'm going to trace a circle. Trace a circle. All right, and then I'm going to go over here and get this other side. Make sure I've got these two in here. And trace another circle. So now I've got 2 circles, and all I'm going to do is cut this out. So these are really fun. Some of my favorite Christmas ornaments are the ones that people have made themselves, and they always make them in school, which is great, but I don't know why we can't make them at home too. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see the line, it's really faint, but I'm going to cut inside the line because I measured, I traced it to the exact line of this circle. I want it to be just a little bit inside of it. So I'm going to cut maybe 1/8 of an inch inside that line that I drew all the way around, making sure I get her whole face, I don't cut her off. Inside that line. There we go. All right, so now that's going to be perfect, and now we've got a little bit around the edge. You can see just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to cut out this one as well. Oh, I don't need to do that. You guys, I'll show you how to do one side. You'll figure it out. Okay, so now that we've got this, we also have to make sure that we have a ribbon. This ribbon is going to be what allows it to hang. So this, keep it handy. We're going to use that whenever we start gluing. Before we start gluing, I'm going to put down a layer of ink. If I can find my ink. There it is. All right. So I'm just using gold ink. I think black and gold make a really nice combination. So I'm going to use gold ink. And because this photo goes almost to the edge of the photo, I'm just going to blot around the edge like so. And it's hardly showing up. This is really light, but you can see it just a little bit. It doesn't need to be really dark, but I mean, if you can go over this a couple times and make it darker. You can use paint for this or markers. I like to use the ink because whenever I use glue, the ink is going to bleed onto the photo, which is an effect that I want. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. Okay, so we're only doing one side right now to save on time, but you can do the other side the exact same way. Now that I've got my color around here, if you're using paint, let it dry. You don't want to mess with paint. It'll make a big mess. And I'm using Mod Podge. So Mod Podge is an amazing crafting glue that you can use on any surface. And really there's like, I don't even know of a substitution for it. It's just Mod Podge. So first I'm going to glue down my ribbon into the center so that it will hang upright on my tree. So I place it where I want it, and then I gluing down my ribbon, kind of in the middle there. And then I'm gonna put glue, nice layer of glue, all over this front side. Nice layer of glue. And then once we've got good coverage, we place the photo on, making sure that it is upright so that, you know, it'll be upright on the tree. And then whenever you glue the other side, you get a loop like so. But I'm not going to glue the other side right now so that we can see how this works. All right, so I'm going to press this photo down. Look all nice. Okay, and then I'm going to glue, whoops, around the edges. Being careful not to drip like I just did right there. But that's okay. And I'm going a little bit over the edge of my photograph. So the reason for this is twofold. One, it will hold down the edges of the photo better. Mod Podge is great about stuff like that. It's going to hold it down so it doesn't flip up whenever it's on the tree or whenever kids decide to pick it up and play with it. So I'm going to go all the way around the edges, and my ink bleeds a little bit. So it's hard to see because it's so faint. It's just this really light gold. But the glue is picking up little traces of that gold and bleeding it onto my photo. So it'll have a little bit more of a clean blend into that background wood. So I'm making sure I'm getting the glue on the edges and pressing it down. Get a little bit more glue whenever you need. All right. So I'm going into, I'm trying not to get her face, but it's kind of hard because her face is really close to the edge there. Spread out that glop that I made. And all the way up here, because not only do I have this ink color in here, but I want to put on some glitter. So now that I've got my one side, I've got the glue all around the edges, I'm going to go ahead and use that glue that I've already painted. I'm going to put down a piece of paper because glitter is a mess. And I'm going to sprinkle some glitter around the edges. So Mod Podge is also great for glue that you paint. And glue that you paint is awesome for glitter because then you can control exactly where it's going to be. Glitter is such a mess. All right, but it's so fun. So here we go. All right, so I've got the edges of my picture all glittered up, and just for good measure, I'm just going to sprinkle it all over the place. So now I'm taking off the top of this, and I'm going to pick up my photo, tap it, and let that glitter just come off of there. All right. There you go. And once you do the other side, then you have your beautiful ornament that also makes a pretty good gift for grandparents or family members or whoever wants a picture of you and your family. Another thing that I recommend is putting something at the top. So to decorate it, you can do something like this little bow and just glue it right at the top there. Once this all dries, just makes a really cute little effect. Or you could really put anything on it that you want to decorate with. So really quick and easy and adorable ornament that any of your family members are going to love. Yay! So Merry Christmas. Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Jaden, who's gonna be telling us a little bit about Kwanzaa and something awesome that he made. So thank you guys, and over to Jaden.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. So, since we're all about diversity and inclusion and wanting everyone to feel included for the holidays, we also wanted to touch up on Kwanzaa. And I feel like Kwanzaa is one of those holidays that you don't really see a lot of decor or stuff for it, especially when you go to the store shopping for decorations. So I wanted to talk about it just a little bit about some of the traditions. So Kwanzaa has 7 principles and also 7 symbols. So the 7 principles of Kwanzaa are unity, self-determination, work and responsibility, economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. And very similarly to Hanukkah, this holiday also involves the lighting of 7 candles, and each of the candles are supposed to represent each of these 7 principles. The 7 symbols of Kwanzaa, you'll see them all pictured in that photo down there. There's the crops, which are pretty much like the fruits and vegetables, like the little pumpkin and the oranges that you see there. The placemat, in which the candle holder and everything is put on the table as the main table setting. The ear of corn, the 7 candles, like I mentioned before. The candle holder that holds the 7 candles themselves. The cup, which is like unity cup, and of course the gifts that are exchanged on the 7th day. And each of these symbols represent different things. So the crops are supposed to represent planning and work. The placemat is supposed to be a foundation in which people stand on to build up their lives. The corn stands for fertility and children, pretty much talking about how the children are the future and how the next generation is always going to be more hopeful. The 7 candles are supposed to represent the sun's power. The candle holder itself is supposed to talk about ancestry and pretty much the roots from which we came. The cup is to unify everybody. On the 6th day of Kwanzaa, everybody takes a sip from the cup as a sign of unity and remembrance. And of course, the gifts are exchanged on the 7th day. And Kwanzaa is observed from December 26th to January 1st. So it's like right after Christmas and overlaps New Year's just a little bit. So usually the gifts that are exchanged are handmade. So here's like a couple little examples of like some gifts and decor and what you would typically see at a Kwanzaa table. And the one that we're going to be making today is the Honeycomb Ball, which is in the bottom right corner. Those cool balls that like expand and have this like mandala effect. So what's cool about this particular decoration, it's mostly like a paper craft, and it's pretty versatile because you can use this honeycomb ball for any occasion. It all just depends on which colors you use. So to follow the theme of Kwanzaa, I'm going to be using red, green, black, and yellow, which are the main central colors for the holiday. And I'm going to turn my camera down so you guys can see my little table. Hopefully you guys can see pretty well. But what I have is just a pair of scissors to cut, a pencil just to trace around this metal tin that I found just to get like a perfect circle shape, some tissue paper, and a glue stick. So just a few basic materials. The tissue paper, I folded it a bunch of times just so I can get as many circles out of it as I can when I cut them out, because you're going to need a lot of them. And the ball can be pretty much any size you want. So because this is the size of the tin that I had on hand to get that perfect circle, it's probably going to be a pretty small scale ball. So to start off, like I said, I'm going to fold over the pieces of tissue paper, and I'm going to place the tin here in the middle, and I'm going to trace a circle so I know where to cut. Ooh. Because this is tissue paper, it's very delicate, so I can't draw too hard into there or it might rip. And you don't have to use tissue paper necessarily, like you can use construction paper, any kind of paper. I just felt like the tissue paper came in pretty handy because since it's the holidays, a lot of people tend to have tissue paper left over from gift wrapping and stuff. And it just so happens that the colors I need primarily are green and red, along with the black and yellow. So it just worked out. So here, it's hard to see, but I drew my little circle. And now I know where to cut along with the scissors so I can get all these circles out of my tissue paper. So it's good and bad because, like I mentioned before, the tissue paper is very flexible, but it's also a little fragile. So when you're gluing the pieces together, it might be a little bit tricky. So just be careful with that. Right now I'm trying to hold it together while I cut around so I can get enough layers of these circles to make the ball all the way around. It's all going to come down to the way that the paper gets folded so you can get that honeycomb pattern shape. So I'm just going to put this aside for now. Put my tin to the side. So now that I have all of these circles cut out, while they're still bunched together, there's a little mistake here. While they're still bunched together, again, just to work a little bit quicker, we're going to fold them while they're all bunched together like this. You could do them individually, but that would take a lot longer. And there's a part that you're going to have to do with each individual circle later on. So now that we have our circles cut out, we're going to fold them down the middle like this, like a semicircle, and then fold it one more time. Like this, almost like it's a little like pizza slice. Once you have it there, you're gonna fold it again. It's getting a little bit thick. So I'm going to demonstrate with a larger circle here. So let me repeat that again. I'm going to fold it once, semicircle, like this. Fold it one more time, like a little pizza slice, and then fold it over one more time, like this. Hope you guys can see. And then this one little triangle piece left over here, you're gonna fold it as well. I'm gonna fold it the other way. So basically, when you've folded it all, and you open it up, I'll show you now. Ooh, have a lot of layers here. Once you've folded all of your pieces, you should see some creases in there, some lines. These are going to be your guidelines. I don't know if you can see there, but probably not with the black one because it's hard to see. But you see there's some creases there going across and these little rows going down. So that's what you're going to see when you fold it this way. So for this next part, now that you have them all folded and the creases in the right places, those are going to be your point of reference, those lines for where you're going to put your glue. So you can use a regular Elmer's glue as well, but I just found the glue stick to be easier to apply because it's not as liquidy and gooey and it dries faster. But I'm going to put down a line here and here. So again, it's a little tricky to see because of how dark that paper is. But on these folds, I'm going to put a line of glue on this line and this line, just those two. So there's 5 lines going across. It's just going to be on these 2 lines here in the middle. So I'm going to go 1 and 2. And when you put that glue down, you're going to fold it and press it down. Do the same for this one. So this is where it gets a little time consuming because you have to take each individual semicircle and do this repetitively. And keep doing that, putting the 2 lines of glue, 1 and 2, and folding it. So once you have enough of these, I'm gonna do at least 4 of them, so I have 1 of each color. These 2 lines of glue, fold it in half. So once you have all your semicircles glued, now you're going to glue these to each other. So once again, you're going to do another glue line, but you're going to do 3 of them this time. It's going to be 1, 1 down the middle, and 3. So it's almost like you're doing them on the opposite lines that you didn't put glue on last time. That makes sense. If you guys have any questions or you want me to repeat a step, feel free to let me know in the chat. I know all this folding stuff can get a little tricky. So once again, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. You can see it a little better here in the reflection of the light. I'm going to put this down. You're going to continue doing this. The reason why we're putting the glue in the spots that we are is so that when you unfold these little papers, it creates these pockets in between the tissue paper of where you glued it down, and that's what's going to create that honeycomb effect. I'm going to put this last one here, glue it down. This is my outer layer, so I'm not going to put glue on this yet. So once we've sandwiched all these pieces together, I'm going to try to open it up a little bit like an accordion so you guys can see what happens. So once you have those, when you start to open it up, you have to be very delicate because this is tissue paper. So I'm going to go like this. Trying to be very careful. You see how you can start to see those little pockets open up on the sides, like so. This like accordion effect. You have to continue doing this over and over and over again. It takes a lot of these little semicircles to get a full sphere all the way around. But once you continue doing that, this is the end result. This is your little honeycomb ball. So you can see here these little pockets of the tissue paper in between. Once I unfolded it, I got this cool like pop out effect. And it took quite a few of them to get a full circle all the way around. So yeah, that's my little DIY decor thing. And remember that depending on which colors you decide to use of the tissue paper, you can use this for many different occasions, and you can make them as big or small as you want. So for our last craft of the day, I'm going to be passing it over to Hector. He's going to be showing us some New Year's decoration techniques and helping us say goodbye to 2020. So passing it over to Hector.
All right, thank you so much, Jaden. And I am indeed going to be showing some New Year's decorations. I'm going to be doing 2 different projects. So here are the materials that we're going to be using for the hat, for the first project. Most of these we've already been using on some of the other projects, but just to repeat, I'm going to be using a ruler, preferably metal, because I'm also going to be using that for the X-Acto knife to make some of the cuts, a pencil to make marks, an eraser just in case you make a mistake or to delete some of those pencil lines, regular glue, although you can also use a glue gun. The cardstock paper that I used, I wanted to get that gold look that it's showing on screen. I used something called foil cardstock, and that's available on any craft store pretty much. Just ask for the foil cardstock because it gives you that little shiny metallic color that is reminiscent of any New Year's hat. Again, the X-Acto knife, scissors as well. We can use different things to accessorize the hat. I use craft ribbon. I also use on one of them, the one on the right you see in a picture, a jingle bell. And then the left one, I use a cotton ball. So you can choose which one you want to do. I also use some of those chenille pipe cleaners. Those are little tiny wires that have little paper mache kind of design to it, just to add some effect and to tie the little ball and the little jingle ball for the top of the hat. You can use some elastic bands or just any kind of string to attach. That just to secure the hat so that it doesn't topple over. Scotch tape. And I did use a gold calligraphy marker because that really allows you to decorate your design. There are different colors that you can use, but I found that that gold one, or there's even a silver one, is really good for this type of project. So here's the little template that I attached to the chat. You can download this. And the cool thing is it's basically a party hat. You can use it not just for your New Year's hat, or you can use it for a birthday or any kind of event. So make sure to download that template. You are going to be tracing that onto your gold foil cardstock or any cardstock that you have. And then you're going to be basically cutting out that pattern. That's how it's going to look in the end. And you see it has a little tab at the top on one end, and there's a little slit that you have to cut out. I use the X-Acto knife for that. Once you cut out your little fold design, you're going to fold the hat and insert the tab onto that little slit. You want to make sure that you fold it with the tab going over the top so that the little tab goes inside of the hat. And then to secure the hat, you can use some of that Scotch tape to make sure that everything lines up nice and secure, just like you see in that picture. When you insert the tab, you don't need the Scotch tape, but I found it to be so much better in case it moves around. And you want to line up that bottom so it's nice and flush, so you get a nice little hat. Now that takes care of the hat itself, but again, we're doing a New Year's Eve hat, so we want to make sure we decorate it. What I use, I drew a little message and I colored it with the gold marker, and I cut it onto a piece of cardstock. The other part that we're gonna do is we're gonna either attach a cotton ball with glue onto that little pipe cleaner, or if you decide to use some of those jingle bells, which I'm gonna show later on, you can actually slide that little pipe cleaner through the hoop of the jingle bell, and just leave a little bit on top, and then you can fold it over so you can create a nice little hook for the top. Then we're going to insert that little pipe cleaner and the ribbon, if we go ahead and use the ribbon, through the top of the hat. And then like you see in the picture, so you insert through the top and you can see the little tail of that little pipe cleaner down the bottom, which I use a gold one. And then you can cut off the excess of that because you're going to be taping it onto the inside part of the hat. So once that is done, you're also going to be cutting off that little piece of string or the elastic to the inside of the hat. Just make sure you measure it to, if it's going to be a child size or an adult size, you want to make sure you leave enough of a slack so that it's not too tight or too loose. So those are the little decorating designs. And this is basically how it came out. Once I glued all the elements, like the little cardboard onto it. And again, I drew the message with the gold marker. And this is how both of them did. So I did one on the top left with the cotton ball, and the one on the right has a little jingle bell. And again, you can see the straps. And this is a little video of how the jingle bell works on the hat. So that's a cool little effect. And again, you can also decorate it with the ribbon. And here's how it looks when you attach the little string. So you make sure that it's nice and flush for the hat. Now, the second project that I'm going to be covering is how to create paper plate noisemakers. And again, most of the materials are the same, but we're going to be adding acrylic paint, black acrylic paint to paint the plates. We're gonna need a paintbrush. Again, my gold calligraphy pen just to draw the designs or the decorations. You can use beads or uncooked macaroni. That's what's gonna make the rattle noise when you shake the plates. Craft sticks and paper plates, which in this case I used the small paper plates, the ones I use for cake and stuff, not the big ones because those are harder to control when you're using the shaker and it might bend. So these smaller ones are better for this. Again, I had some leftover Valentine plates. So you want to make sure you paint the back of the paper plates using your black acrylic paint. Then you're going to be gluing them together. So this is the paint that I use. I use just regular acrylic and a brush. Then you want to make sure that you add the beads or the uncooked macaroni inside, and you don't need to put a lot, just enough so that when it rattles, it makes the noise. You can test it out, of course, before you start gluing. I used a glue gun, but you can use any glue, like white glue is fine to glue both together. And the last part is you have to glue the glue sticks, the sticks for the handle. You can either insert them right now, or you can leave this part of the process, the very last part, which is inserting the sticks, till the very end. That's entirely up to you. Just make sure that you don't glue the bottom part because that's where it's going to be inserted. So you can make a little mark with your pencil onto the back of the plate. So this is how it looks. And if you see on the bottom part, there's a little pencil mark. That's where I'm going to be inserting the little sticks, the craft sticks. Now to decorate, again, we're the same gold foil cardstock that we use for the hat. The excess I used for this decoration. As far as the decoration, I used the leftovers from the gold cardstock. I just drew over the 2021 design, and I cut out two of those long strips of the gold cardstock just to go over the top and bottom part of the plate. You can also use your gold marker or any white marker for the design. Again, you want to make sure that it's a contrasting color to that black acrylic paint that we used on the plates. You can also use a silver marker if you have one of those. Those are also good to use. And make sure that you create a design for both sides of the noisemaker. So you want to make sure that both sides contain some kind of graphic. This is what it looks like. I basically measured the strings and the little numbers that I'm going to be typing in. And on the other side, I created a little message. So these are the two designs that I made. Again, the one on the right was done entirely with the markers. With the gold marker, I did some little explosions, and with the white one, I wrote in 2021. And the one on the right was done entirely with that little excess gold cardstock for the decorations. I just cut and pasted those two strips. I decided to cut some little stars as well, just to add for added effect. And in the back, we have some message like Happy New Year. Now, something that you can do is you can also staple the plates together if you feel like they're a little bit loose and the glue doesn't stick too well. You can staple them like you see on the right part of the picture where it says Happy New Year. I had to use a little bit of a stapler, and that gives you added support for both the plate and the handle. And this is how it comes out in the end, a little video. So both sides. And that's pretty much the little rattling noise. This is a really cool project to do with the kids, especially this year, which there's not gonna be a lot going on outside. So for people that are going to be celebrating at home, these are really cool projects that you can do that night of the event. So that's pretty much all that it is for the New Year's. And again, I want to thank you for attending our webinar, and happy holidays, whichever holiday you celebrate, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, or New Year's, or all of them. We want to thank you for attending our webinar.
Okay, well, I guess I'll say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you guys. Next week, we are going to be showing you how to make some homemade gifts for the holidays, which are a lot of fun. We're pretty excited about it. I mean, we already showed you a couple of things you could make as gifts, but if you're really into making homemade gifts, which everybody loves, especially right now, it just adds that little extra touch to let people know that you're thinking about them. So we hope to see you next week. And Dinah, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I got there are some people here, so I apologize for that. But again, thank you very much to everybody. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, anything that you celebrate, we celebrate with you. And again, on behalf of the Miami-Dade Public Library System, happy holidays. Bye, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody.